Most people think networking is about meeting as many people as possible, collecting business cards, building a big LinkedIn network, working a room at conferences. But this misses something fundamental. Wealthy people don't network. They signal. Every conversation, every gesture, every reference is a test. Are you one of us? Do you belong here? Do you understand the codes? And if you don't know the language, you'll never gain access to the rooms where real opportunities are distributed. Let me show you how this works. Two people walk into an investor meeting. Both have identical business plans, same market opportunity, same financial projections, same potential returns. Person A wears an expensive but subtle suit, the right watch, mentions they summer in Martha's Vineyard, references their time at Princeton, drops names of mutual acquaintances. Person B wears a cheaper suit, tries too hard to impress, makes the wrong cultural references, uses the wrong vocabulary, doesn't know the shared context. Who gets the money? Person A. Not because their business is better, but because they passed the credibility test. This isn't about intelligence or merit. It's about signaling membership in an exclusive club. Rich people have developed a complex system of markers that instantly identify insiders from outsiders. The way you speak, the schools you reference, the places you've lived, the people you know, the sports you play, even the way you hold a wine glass. These aren't random preferences. They're barriers, designed to keep the circle closed. Here's what most people don't understand about wealth and power. It's not distributed through public channels, job postings, newspaper ads, public stock offerings. By the time opportunities become public, they're already gone. The real deals happen in private, at dinner parties, golf courses, alumni gatherings, country clubs. These are what I call high-trust environments, places where people interact repeatedly over months and years, where relationships develop slowly, where reputation matters more than credentials. Poor people network in broadcast channels, public events where everyone has access, Chamber of Commerce mixers, professional conferences. These environments create no exclusivity, therefore no trust density. Rich people network in private channels, invitation-only dinners, alumni gatherings with 20 people, private retreats. These environments create exclusivity, which creates trust, which creates economic value. But here's the deeper pattern. The wealthy don't just use different networking spaces. They use completely different social strategies. When a poor person meets someone, they try to prove their value immediately. They list their achievements, show their credentials, demonstrate their competence. This signals desperation. It marks them as outsiders. When a wealthy person meets someone, they assume mutual value. They look for common connections, shared experiences, cultural similarities. They're not trying to prove anything. They're testing belonging. The language itself follows different rules. Poor people optimize for clarity. They want to be understood by everyone. They use direct communication, simple vocabulary, obvious statements. Rich people optimize for exclusion. They use subtle references that only insiders understand. Cultural codes, historical allusions, industry jargon. If you don't get the reference, you don't belong. This creates what researchers call information asymmetry. Rich people learn about opportunities before they become public, not because of insider trading, but because of insider conversations. At a private dinner, someone mentions a company going public, a piece of real estate about to be sold, a new fundraising capital, information shared in trusted circles before it reaches public channels. If you're not in those circles, you're always too late. You're competing with everyone else for opportunities that powerful people already know about. But the signaling goes deeper than business opportunities. It shapes how wealthy people identify trustworthy partners, reliable investments, safe social connections. They've learned that public reputation is noise. Anyone can build a following online. Anyone can collect credentials. Anyone can appear successful on social media. Private trust is signal. It comes from repeated interactions in exclusive environments, from introductions by trusted sources, from membership in the same institutions. Let me give you a concrete example of how these codes work in practice. At a charity gala, two people approach a wealthy philanthropist. Both want to discuss investment opportunities. The first person immediately launches into their business pitch, shows PowerPoint slides on their phone, quotes statistics, mentions their MBA, lists their previous successes. The second person asks about the philanthropist's recent trip to Aspen, mentions they also ski there, asks about mutual acquaintances from the same resort. Eventually mentions they're working on something interesting but doesn't push for a meeting. Guess who gets invited to lunch the following week? The second person understood the code. Wealthy people don't conduct serious business at public events. They use public events to assess social compatibility. Business comes later, in private, after trust is established. This system creates a perfect trap for outsiders. To gain access to wealthy networks, you need to signal credibility. But to learn the credibility signals, you need access to wealthy networks. To get invitations to private events, you need social capital. But you build social capital by attending private events. It's a closed loop, self-reinforcing, designed to exclude. Most people who try to break in make the same mistakes. They focus on credentials instead of connections. They optimize for visibility instead of access. They try to impress everyone instead of building trust with a few key people. They attend public networking events, hoping to meet wealthy people. But wealthy people don't go to public networking events. They go to private gatherings with people they already know and trust. The conversation patterns reveal the system's architecture. Watch how wealthy people talk to each other. They don't discuss work immediately. They establish social context first. Who do you know? Where did you go to school? What do you do for leisure? These aren't small talk. They're verification protocols, confirming shared social geography, identifying common connections who can vouch for character and competence. Only after this social mapping do they discuss business. And even then, indirectly, through stories about other deals, references to mutual acquaintances' successes, casual mentions of interesting opportunities. The few who do break through usually follow predictable paths: credential arbitrage, getting into an elite institution through scholarship or luck, then slowly learning the social codes through immersion, marriage or adoption, joining a wealthy family or being mentored by a wealthy person, gaining access to their networks through relationship, geographic arbitrage, moving to where wealthy people congregate, working service jobs initially, gradually transitioning from service provider to peer, value capture, becoming so exceptional in a narrow skill that wealthy people need you, then leveraging repeated interactions into trust and access. But success rates are low. Most people who get the credential don't leverage the network. Most marriages stay within class boundaries. Most service workers remain service workers. Most skilled professionals remain vendors, not partners. Why? Because learning the language isn't just about information. It's about identity transformation. You have to abandon your original cultural codes, adopt new ones, speak differently with different groups. This creates psychological strain, imposter syndrome, identity confusion, social isolation from your original community. Consider the timing patterns that separate insiders from outsiders. Wealthy people operate on different time horizons. When they discuss investments, they think in decades. When they build relationships, they think in years. When they evaluate opportunities, they consider generational impact. This affects their communication style. They don't rush conversations. They don't push for immediate decisions. They plant seeds, build context over time, allow relationships to develop naturally. Outsiders, desperate for breakthrough moments, push too hard too fast. They want immediate results from every interaction. This desperation marks them as outsiders who don't understand how wealthy people actually operate. The wealthy also use silence as a signal. They're comfortable with pauses in conversation, with indirect communication, with unstated implications. This creates another barrier. People from working class backgrounds trained to fill silence, to be direct, to clearly explain their value, violate wealthy communication norms without realizing it. The result? They're marked as pushy, desperate, or socially incompetent, not because they lack ability, but because they speak the wrong social language. Here's the uncomfortable truth about this system. It stays stable because it benefits everyone involved. Rich people get information asymmetry, risk reduction through trust networks, and barriers that limit competition. But poor people also benefit from not fully understanding how it works. If you truly comprehend that success requires access to exclusive networks you can't join, that knowledge is devastating. It means your hard work and talent don't matter. Your effort won't be rewarded. Your strategy is fundamentally flawed. It's psychologically easier to believe in meritocracy, to think success comes from individual effort. Because if that's true, you still have hope. The system even has built-in mechanisms to handle the occasional outsider who breaks through. They're labeled as exceptions. Rare talents, lucky breaks. This maintains the mythology that success is merit-based while acknowledging that most people can't replicate these outcomes. These success stories actually strengthen the system. They provide hope for outsiders while demonstrating to insiders that their advantages aren't completely illegitimate. So the secret language serves multiple functions. For insiders, it's a coordination mechanism, a way to identify trustworthy partners without extensive background checks, a method to distribute opportunities efficiently within trusted networks. For outsiders, it's invisible. They don't know it exists. They think wealthy people just got lucky, worked harder, made better choices. This keeps the system stable. The wealthy maintain their advantages. The poor maintain their hope. Everyone stays in their assigned position. The language rich people use isn't just about words. It's about access, trust, exclusion, power. And until you understand that networking isn't about meeting people, but about passing tests you don't know you're taking, you'll keep wondering why hard work isn't enough. The game has different rules. And the first rule is, if you don't know the rules, you're not supposed to win.